Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of The Practice. This show is an unrehearsed look into my creative process. I'm Stuart. I'm a 3D artist, illustrator, designer, and your pal. And I'm excited and fired up to have everyone back for another week of fun creative exercises. Question of the week for episode 188, creeping up ever closer to that 200 mark, by the way. But the question this week is, have you been using Zoom or other VC software, video conferencing software, to connect with friends and family? I have. It's been useful. It's not quite the same, but it's better than nothing, surely. And I think it might sort of become the norm for a little while for some people. Who knows? It also relates to the illustration that we're going to make this week. So let's get into that. And since I sort of have an idea of the perspective this camera needs to be, I'm going to go ahead and just set that up right away. So I'm going to add a camera, zero out the position, sort of set this bad boy up. In some ways, this will be a fairly simple illustration, at least in terms of modeling, I think. But there's a lot of room to really just blow it out and do some wild stuff. So let's see. So I am connected to Periscope this week, it looks like. We've been having trouble with Periscope. But I typically don't get a ton of viewers there anyway, so whatever. All right, so we're making a little Zoom window basically here. I'm going to make I did a little sketch, but I didn't photograph and upload the sketch, so I guess I can show it to you via webcam. You're probably not going to be able to see it so well. There you go. Can you see that? Maybe? Just a bunch of wacky characters sort of in the video conference sort of group hangout kind of view. So first I'm just going to design this frame and then we'll add the characters to it. I'm just going to use a cloner. Are we? Cloner. Let's go grid array. I'm actually going to pop out of the camera. It'll be a little bit easier. Pardon me. So I want to do 3 by 3, but not 3 by 3 by 3. So that's not it. There we go. Right now, I think let's do 2 by 3. That'll fit better. And I'm going to use a Boolean to remove that from the cube behind. This is sort of the basics of our frame here. Let's see. I think what I'll do is have kind of a backdrop. Nice. Okay, you know what I might also do is actually just, for the time being here, kind of pull up what that looks like. There'll be a couple little buttons we want to add to the bottom. This kind of thing. I don't know if we'll get into all the details of doing this super accurately, but I'm going to add a little bit of detail along the bottom. Let's see here. Let's do that. Add a quick light. What's up, everybody? You all staying safe and healthy indoors? Sure hope so. So now we got sort of the basics of a chat window here. Let's go ahead and add in a few of these details. sort of get the sizing lined up. Let's throw AI or ambient occlusion on quickly, see what we get. Yes, I want to stop it. This is kind of cool. I've done this a few times for client work in the past. But it can be kind of interesting to take 2D UI elements and kind of convert them into 3D space. Maybe what we want to do is start adding some really simple materiality here. Let's see. And like I mentioned, I'm going to do sort of a simplified version of this. I don't think I'll be adding the actual buttons from Zoom. But for folks just tuning in, this sort of relates to my question of the week, is have you been using Zoom or other video conferencing software to connect with friends and fam? I'm not sure if Zoom is a publicly traded company, but I imagine their stock's going bonkers right now if they are, for their parent companies. Then what we're going to do, of course, is add some fun characters in here. It does make me wonder, though. I'll get to that in a bit. I'm not sure if I'm going to want all of these open to a common space in the back. What I might do is clone out. In fact, let's do that. I lied. I'm not going to wait. So I'm going to pull these out of the. I'm going to pull that cloner out. I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to make that cube editable. So delete that front face. And now I'm making sort of individual rooms for each of the characters. That'll wind up in here. Which I think will be good. I made that box just a touch larger so it wouldn't occupy the same space as this front Boolean face here. Cool. Let's get into a little bit of color. Ever so basic. I very rarely use like a full 100% black. Usually works much better if we do, like a super dark navy blue here. I think we should add just a few buttons, kind of hint at a UI. And what I might also do is change the aspect ratio of the rendering here so it just frames these windows out a little nicer. So I'm just going to sort of do that by eye. Width, let's turn that width down. Okay. Now we're just blocking things out here. There's still plenty to do in terms of lighting and getting everything sorted out, but it's a start. Now let's add just a few sort of hints of a UI. Whoops. So there's some buttons for the top of the window. Let me take some liberties, as I mentioned here, with what the stuff looks like exactly. Just needs to be reminiscent of one of these VC windows. Where are we? It's starting to look vaguely like a zoom window. What's up, I0? Romel's back. Good to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. How you guys doing? Going stir crazy? Staying safe and sound indoors? Thanks for tuning in, I0. You're amazing. I appreciate you. New videos every Tuesday too, so subscribe and tune in. You'll be seeing plenty of me. Now, for the last several weeks, I've been doing a series of kind of COVID stuck at home related content, imagery, I should say. Kind of what's on everyone's mind. All right. Cloner. The cool thing about a cloner is you can just make duplicates of the object inside of it, and it'll just alternate these colors. You can even add, like, you know, whatever you wanted in there. You could add a tube, and it'll start alternating those in, right? So I use that all the time if I just need to alternate color, stuff like that, or just like evenly space things. It's a great feature. Oh, you know what? There's a thing. You know, I wanted to mention something at the beginning of this. I'll show it now. I've been sitting on this series of images for months now, and the goal was to do a physical gallery show with large prints and digital displays of these things. Doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anytime soon. I'm calling the series "Don't Look." It's a series of you know, portraits that combine 2D and 3D techniques, and are kind of just simple character shapes, so to speak, like this, working on, you know, off a template almost, but then it has these like really basic facial features, but then all types of really richly textured and detailed amorphous organic shapes flowing on top of that, like a series of wacky selfies. So if you don't, you can check me out on Instagram, give me a follow there. I've got, I believe, 6 more that I'll be releasing over the next 6 days. One a day till they're all live. There you have it. All right, so that looks a little bit like a window, yeah? Now we can do some of the fun stuff, which is adding our friends to these windows. One thing I'm thinking is I might need to Boolean each of these sections so that the overlap doesn't get strange. But let's try just by dropping some of these guys in. Figure out the best way to do that. Whoops. I always mistake the pen for the sketch tool. Now, one of the things I also want to do is break the frame, right? So you can't do this in a real conference call, but it's going to be fun, I think, to have little bits of the characters peeking out over the frame and sort of interacting with it in a way. All right, so let's sweep this boy. Sweep it. Sometimes we gotta just pop out of the camera here to figure out where we are. That's a good question, I0. I don't use Octane or Redshift or any of those things at the moment. Possibly in the future, but I think Cinema has a lot to offer just out of the gate, especially if you're just learning. I would say sort of the one thing to keep in mind is that materials are always going to be a mix of the material itself and then the lighting conditions in your scene. So you have to work on the materials themselves, but you also have to work on the lighting, if that makes sense, because they interact together. So if you're not getting what you want out of the material, try altering the lighting in the scene. That can really help. So I'm going to add a symmetry object to this guy just so it's in the right position. I'm going to add a null. So sweep to the null and the null to the symmetry. So that's cool. And this guy can kind of cheat. There is a way to not have him overlap and not have him Boolean either. So now these characters, I want them to have some personality, but I also kind of want them to be fairly simple. Plus, we got to make 6 of them here, so. It's all good. Your English is good, man. No sweats. Don't apologize. All right, what else we got? Let's give this guy a simple little mouth. Do we want to give him a mouth? Maybe we make his head so tiny he doesn't even need a mouth. Now let's get another guy going. Let's do it. All right. I'm going to figure out the technique to Boolean these guys out with. What I think I'll do... All right, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to call it character Boolean, just so I can keep track of it. And what I also might do, actually, while I'm organizing a bit, I'm going to group all of these and call it the frame. Oops, frame. Turn it off. I missed some things. This needs to be in there. This needs to be in there. Okay. Getting organized. I don't know what that null is about. All right. Character. A. All right. So grab that character Boolean. I'm going to close the polygon hole. And then I'm going to expand it. So now we've just got a bunch of these cubes kind of right where we need them. And I'm only going to need them I'm only going to use them as needed, I should say. So I'm going to turn them off for now. And I'm going to grab this one and use it as a Boolean for the character. We have a lot of Booleans in this scene. Cool. Cool. And now I can move this guy around, and just like a video chat, you won't be in your friend's living room. All All right, now I'm going to expand, make a group out of that guy, duplicate him, turn him off, and then expand one. I like to keep a copy of things around at times. It's useful. And I was going to go into the sculpt palette, but I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to go right here. I'm going to keep this view for the moment. I want to just modify this gently so it's got a little bit more character. Oops. The question of the week this week, I repeated a few times as folks come in and out, is are you using Zoom or other VC software, video chat software? Is it video chat or video conferencing? Probably video conferencing. In any case, are you using any of those fancy things to keep in contact with friends and family? I have been. It's funny, we have I had like an Easter gathering with my mom's side of the family this weekend. I've had some kind of happy hour things with friends. It's been good. It's not a full replacement, but it's better than nothing. Better than nothing. All right. Other thing I want to do. No. Well, gosh, guys, sometimes I think out loud. So I have to excuse my indecisiveness at times. As you can imagine, sometimes it's hard to narrate, sort of tell you guys what I'm thinking at the same time as I'm doing it. It's a little squirrely. I'm not always great at it. Doing my best. What's up, IG Tech? Not sure what you're saying, but welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm just placing this one by hand. It's kind of down and dirty, but you know what? Who cares? What happened there? That's not what I want. I want one of these. That's not where I want it. So this guy, I'm making sure to have this object selected. I'm holding Option. And this is with pretty much any object that you add to the scene. If you hold Option while selecting another object, it'll add it at the same orientation as that object's widget. Basically, I'm able to add this circle pretty close to where I want it in the end, and with the correct orientation, which can be really, really useful. So, sweep it up. Let's see what we're dealing with at the moment. Look at that. So realistic. It's just like all your buddies on a conference call. What I'm going to do, just add little hands, right? That's like a hand, yeah? He's reaching over. And these are the items that I'm going to have to keep outside of individual character booleans, which is cool. All right, thanks IG Tech. No sweat. think a lot of this stuff transcends language anyhow. Daniel, do I continue learning? Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm always trying to learn. I have to say that nowadays I've been using Cinema 4D for over a decade. Sorry, one sec here. Character B. So I would say that it's less and less frequent that I'm like going on to YouTube or something like that to pick up like specific tutorials or like just general learning. I'm not doing that as much as I used to. I used to do that a ton. But yeah, I mean, even just outside of Cinema 4D, it's important to always be learning. There's the buttons you need to press. There's the different techniques inside of different art programs, but then there's also just so much interesting stuff in the world. So a lot of the learning I do nowadays is listening to different podcasts, learning about biology or human behavior. I find that stuff really, really fascinating. And yeah, like on YouTube, I subscribe to Maxon's account, and they do these quick tips every once in a while, which I'll check out. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty to learn. I think it's important to always be learning. There's some quote. How's the quote go? Live as though you'll die tomorrow. Learn as though you'll live forever. Something like that. Perhaps a little bit cheesy, but you get the idea. All right, so just like with this dude to the right here, I'm going to grab one of these cubes. And I'm going to add another Boolean. I think it was A without B, right? A without B? Let's check the other one. I always forget. A subtract B. Let's just turn this dude off. All right, there we have it. So this time I think I am going to just copy this symmetry. I'm going to delete the crazy sweeps. Just use these little eyes. Once we get a little further along, blocking this stuff out, then I'll start adding colors and probably improve the lighting a little bit. For now, I just want to get my characters into place. Let's see. Good question, Amanda. I think, well, first of all, I'll preface that by saying rigging is not my area of expertise. But I'll also say the cleaner your geometry, the better the rig will be. There's no doubt about it. Yes, you can do it, but I'd also say it depends on what you want. Like if you're going to do, like an animated short, like a 5 or 10 minute story about a single character, it's really worth it to get it all right and to get it functioning properly so that it looks good from different angles and doing different things. Now, let's say you've got your main character in the story sorted out perfectly and he looks really good and all the bends and folds in her topology is perfect. That's great. And then let's say you have a secondary character. Let's say it's a little, maybe they're at the beach and a little crab goes scuttling by. And that character is only going to be on screen for 5 seconds and only needs to move its legs, not its mouth and eyes and ears and all that stuff. So I would say skip that part of the rigging and don't worry so much. So it depends is a non-committal response to your question. But also, I'm not very good at rigging. If it's humanoids, if it's bipedal characters with 4 limbs, just use Mixamo. Mixamo is awesome. It makes it really, really easy. All right, let's see. Does this guy need a mouth? He probably needs a mouth. Let's mouth this guy up. Again, what I'm going to do is we've got something pretty close to what we need already here. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Bring it on over. Rotate your boy. This isn't perfect. Like, you might want to, if you need everything to be really lined up perfectly, it would be worth possibly modeling these guys in a separate file where you can have everything centered out in the space and then adding them in a little later. But because these are kind of organic, wacky looking characters, I don't really care if everything's lined up. In fact, I think it'll add a lot of personality if things aren't lined up. Character C. I'm going to modify this boolean, not this boolean, this spline. Make more of a smiling shape. Yeah, sometimes it's really fun to exaggerate these facial proportions. Not going for realism here. I haven't thought of what the element for this character that's going to overlap. Maybe they don't all need to overlap. Maybe just a few overlaps is fine. Let's think. What's next? I know what I want to do next. This one might be worth. This one I think I am actually going to make a separate file. All right. This one's going to be a little bit irreverent. Nothing terrible. Okay. Let's go symmetry. It's a butt. It's a butt. Oops, that's not what I want. Now this is your irreverent friend who thought it'd be really funny to moon the camera. Not funny, Brian. No one wants to see your butt. Now we do have to add little booleans. Let's go back to our friends over here. Cut, paste. Is this what it looks like when you guys VC with your friends and family? Or Uncle Gary's sticking his butt at the camera? Hopefully not. Oops. How childish. And you know what? I think that potentially nothing will be overlapping in this frame. That sort of balances the lack of overlapping over here if we decide to go in that direction. But it does create a lot of movement and interest to have elements coming outside of these boxes just a bit. All right, so I'm just going to do something to this guy. Let's see. I'm going to make that thigh area just a little bigger. All right. Again, since we've already got some of the stuff we need built, I'm just going to borrow and group this character D. I thought I already named that. I guess when I booleaned it, yeah, it got buried. Okay. So we got this symmetry here. Let's add that. Now I'm trying to vary these characters a bit too, right? So, you know, this guy's got small eyes that are medium spaced apart. This guy's got bigger eyes that are, much closer together. Got a small guy surrounded by two big guys. Um, this one's sort of unto itself. Glad you like them. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Let's see. This guy, maybe I'll give him a totally different style of mouth. Yeah, doing well with virus. Hopefully you don't have it. Hopefully you're just hiding from the virus. What's her teeth look like, right? I forget. This bottom row of teeth, I think I'm going to keep all the same size. Yeah. Seems like this guy is not handling the isolation well. He's kind of gnashing his teeth. And I'm sorry to hear about that, buddy. It's a little bit too much of a perfect circle for me, so I want some soft selection. And just give him a little bit more of an egghead. This is going to be tricky. In my sketch, I had a guy with ears kind of poking out. It'd be tricky to position this guy just right for that. That's not too bad, actually. Let's just make him a little larger. Doesn't even look like ears. They look like weird arms. I mean, if these are meant to be arms, I don't know if these look like ears. I don't know. We'll keep pushing it. Weird looking bunny rabbit. It's pretty good. All right, now we got one more slot to do. All right. squiggly mouth here. Making it happen. Whoops. What a cutie. All right. Where are you, taper? Where are you? There you go. Fit to parent. Strength. Yeah, taper that guy. All right, maybe it's time to start texturing these guys. Now with eyes, I like to add some reflection. Sometimes you can get it with just a really simple eye shape. Add a little bit of reflection to it. I think while all these guys are different colors, I think it'd be good if their eyes are all the same. Well, except for Uncle Gary over here who's showing his butt. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the comment. Glad you find it useful. Hopefully you're safe and sound someplace, staying indoors. It's a great time to learn software, Cinema 4D and otherwise. Great time to learn anything, really. Great time to stay at home and read books, do any number of productive things. So, Safan, all right, let's see how this color works. Pretty fun. We should add some GI at this point. So that's better. Much nicer lighting. Let's try that out. Ravi, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. That's a really kind comment. I appreciate that. Hopefully you're safe and sound wherever you are, staying indoors, social distancing and all that. I'm not liking the lighting too much, so I'm going to alter it. There's a light above the scene and a light behind the camera, and I'm altering, like I'm switching them. It used to be that the one behind the camera had low light and the one above had high light. I'm turning the intensity up on the backlighting. I'll turn shadow maps to area. Indeed, stay safe, everyone. Good comments, Stefan. And then this other one, I'm just going to turn down a bit, and maybe I'll add some blue to that. This guy's a little too uniform for me, so I'm going to turn off the symmetry, or the one in the symmetry. I'm going to leave that as a backup. And then this guy I'm going to kind of copy and reposition, just so it's not so symmetrical. I think that'll work out a lot better. Oh boy. Now we're getting wonky. What are you reaching for there, pal? Ooh, I guess something I've been talking about on and off for the last 6 months or so is getting a new computer, and I can say I finally pulled the trigger on one, switching from Mac to PC, so that'll be interesting. But it should be here in a couple of weeks to a month. So I'm hoping, by next month I'll be streaming with a brand new computer. It'll be a lot faster, so I think I'll be able to handle more intense scenes and files, which is really exciting. There will be a little bit of a learning curve since I'm hopping from Mac to PC for the first time, but I'm excited. Oh shoot, best way to do this. I'm just going to use this eyedropper tool to grab the right color inside each instance of the subsurface scattering. Just kind of going down the line, grabbing the appropriate color. This eyedropper tool is really useful. Love it. For the time being, I'm still only using the native renderer from Cinema. That may change, although I don't know if I feel like buying any software right now because I just spent a whole bunch of money on a new computer. So if I stay the same for a little while, I will be more apt to use reflections and subsurface scattering and all that fancy high intensity rendering stuff. So, and I'll also be able to make just higher polygon scenes, which will be a big improvement. But eventually, yeah, perhaps I will and start incorporating different renderers. Let's see how that goes. All right, so now everybody's got subsurface scattering. Let's see how we look with that. All right, here we go. This one will take a minute to render. Just bear with me, thank you. I guess, while this is rendering, maybe I'll take a moment to plug what I've been working on elsewhere. You may have noticed, I've posted about it on Twitter and Instagram, that I'm working on a series of images, I shouldn't say I'm working on them anymore. I should say I've been sitting on them for a couple of months. I completed this series of images sort of late last year, early this year, and the plan was to have them printed and hung at a physical gallery location. Now, unfortunately, all the galleries in town are closed. I'm not sure when the next time they're going to reopen, and I didn't want to bury these things forever, so I decided that I just start releasing them, on a day-by-day basis for the next 10 days, about 4 images in. I'll show you what I've put together so far. But there are a series of these abstract portraits. They're all based around the same composition and the same, basically the same simple facial features, but then adding lots of organic, detailed, highly textured shapes to them. So that's all I'm going to show. Actually, here's a little preview of the one I'll release tomorrow. This is the one that came out today. So if you want to keep up with that series, hit me up on DLGNCE on Instagram or Twitter. I should say I'm more active on Instagram than I am on Twitter. There you have it. I think, let's see, where's this guy? I'm going to make the frame a little bit darker. As with the interior sort of room sections. I want a little more contrast, to be honest. Obviously, we can mess with that when we get into Photoshop afterwards. I almost always adjust color after we render in Photoshop, so getting close. Can anyone see how long I've been going? I usually try to keep to about 2 hours here. Might be over that at the moment. Here's one thing I think that'll make the subsurface scattering look a little bit better. So if I go in there and reduce the path length. I think that's basically like how far into the model the it's interesting, you can adjust it by RGB as well. But that's basically how far the light will penetrate into the surface of the model. 84 minutes. Cool, thank you. It's a little bit over an hour. Got a lot done in about an hour. Hour and 20 minutes. Getting close. Usually go about 2 hours. Might go a little short on this one. I mean, you could imagine really going crazy with the details in here. You could spend a lot of time putting a more realistic UI in here. You could add little bits of text, and then you could even create rooms behind these characters, which might be kind of fun. I'm going to reduce the geometry in a couple of these locations where we're a little bit overkill. That'll help with our final rendering, which is going to be a little larger, a little higher quality. These guys in particular, very heavy. Cool. That's a lot. That's fewer polygons. These guys probably go down too, although they don't have subsurface scattering, so they're not going to be as bad. Cool. Now, I'm still not loving the lighting. I'm going to turn this upper light, the one that's above the scene, on full blast again and just see what that gets us. What's up, Titus? Thanks for tuning in. Cute creatures at home. They're having a conference call. All the pals are social distancing responsibly. Why but? Well, one of the characters is quite crude and decided that they would moon the rest of their friends. Quite rude. But kind of funny. I'll forgive it. I've seen worse. Now some of these characters are getting blown out. It's too much, too much. Let's try this. I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to take this light. And actually, I'm going to turn it off. And then I'm going to add the HDRI image and see what that does for us. Oh, that's a physical sky, wrong one. Let's add a normal sky. Let's go to the content browser. Oh, I don't like doing it that way. Let's do it this way. Window, content browser. Oh, and look, here's some HDRIs. Let's try this one. See how it's kind of blown out right here at the front of this character. So let's see what this does for us. You can see even from these pre-passes that the lighting's quite different already. And actually, let me get out of this camera and see. Okay, we've got the thing oriented about right with the cyc behind us and the lights above. So that's good. And these are cool because these are presets built right into Cinema. Just plugging the website there while I'm waiting. And we are still a little bit blown out. The reflections in the eyes look a lot nicer because there's more to reflect in the scene. Now what if we just take this backlight, let's turn that down. Just experimenting here. That's better. Looking more like a hand. Not that I want it to be super realistic. I want to keep some simplicity there. Little thumbs. Little tiny thumbs. Wow, what a nice comment. Thanks, Safan. That's really awesome. Thank you. I think this is a little better. See how in some of these earlier renderings, these highlighted areas are really kind of blown out, meaning the brights are too bright. Here you see there's sort of a more realistic and subtle gradation. Like most of the time, you don't want your highlights to be pure, hard, bright white. They kind of, you lose the information that's in there. It's much nicer when you've got some sort of subtle gradation between the brights and the darks. Now, that's not a hard and fast rule. I'm sure there are times when it looks cool to have stuff be blown out or works for a certain concept you're going for, but generally speaking, that's what I try to stick to. What's up, Southern Cross? Little fun emoji. You're fun. Does everyone think this one looks like someone mooning the webcam? Now, I don't think I'm going to get into it, but you know what else might be fun is to model a little computer screen that all of this sits inside of. You could do a little room behind there. There's really a lot of ways you could take this concept and just go nuts with it. I'm not going to do that because the practice is really like it's an exercise. It's not frequently, depending on the complexity of the scenes, we don't land on a super polished final animation. This is about trying out new techniques and sharing with the community on a regular basis. So yeah, I'm feeling this. I think I'm about ready. So I'm going to make the size a little larger. Wow, look at that. I did this by hand, just clicking up and down until I found an aspect ratio that sort of fit what I wanted here, and it turns out to be a proper 3:4. Cool day. So what else? GI, I'm going to turn up 1. I'm going to turn our samples to medium, just so we get slightly better quality on these. All right, let's render it out. I guess while that's going, I'll take this opportunity to ask the question of the week once more. It sort of relates to what we're creating here. That's not the case every week of the practice, but this week, the question and the art relate to one another. And it's really, have you been using video conferencing software to connect with friends and family? I have been. It's not quite the same as seeing people in person. I really miss like going to local breweries and restaurants and actually getting out and about. But if you can't do that, those VCs Yeah, they're a next best thing. Better than nothing, that's for sure. One thing I'm not liking, I think I'm not liking it enough to restart those final animations. You see how this arm is just ever so gently kissing that top edge of the frame. I don't like that. Same thing here. It's like just grazing the edge of this character. So that's not right. So I'm going to make that a little smaller. I think generally speaking, you want to be overlapping fully or not overlapping at all. I think it typically looks bad when there's just like the tiniest little bit of overlap. But that's just me. Safwan's been using it. This looks kind of cool. Sometimes I really enjoy the way these pre-passes look. Right, nearly there. I tell you, one of the toughest things about the practice is that I like drinking coffee in the mornings, and I like drinking coffee during the actual recording of this, the streaming process. Usually about this time, about an hour and a half in, 2 hours in, I really have to pee. TMI perhaps, but some episodes I actually do wind up running off and taking a quick bio break. I think I can make it this week though. Almost there. No, no animation this week, Titus. Just a still illustration. I mean, you could certainly animate this. You could even just have some really gentle movement, maybe blinking of the eyes. Some really simple stuff would bring some life to this. You could really take this concept in a lot of different fun directions. Yeah, and actually, speaking of which, sometimes it's fun to go all the way back to the beginning to see where we started, right? Another thing I'm noticing here, I'm not going to undo it, but I'm going to mention it. Don't feel like re-rendering at this point, but I should have overlapped these fingers just a little bit more. I'm going to do that just because I can while I'm waiting here. More solid overlap there. So you can tell even in the pre-pass, got a little bit of a weird shape there. You can check it out here on the previous renderings. Oh well, that's fine. Not a deal breaker. If this was client work or a final illustration, I would certainly go back in and revise that. Another fun thing to do with this would be to add some word bubbles. Have someone saying, "Sorry, I was on mute," and then you could have someone saying, "My audio is not working." You know what? And now as we're nearing completion, let's boot up Photoshop. We have that ready to go. This guy's trying to touch the butt. Come on. It's funny, once we get through all of this pre-passing, the rendering itself goes fairly quickly. Just a lot of calculations. And then, like I was mentioning, once that new computer gets in, we're going to spend less of the time on these episodes rendering and more of the time actually working on cool stuff. People are surprised to hear frequently that I do all of this stuff off a mid-2015 MacBook Pro. So I've been using a laptop for the past 5 years to do all my 3D work. This is going to be the first time I have, a proper desktop rig that is actually formatted specifically for Cinema 4D. And actually, while I'm talking about it, I might as well give a plug to Puget Systems. That's the company I ordered the laptop from. Now, granted, that's the company I ordered the computer from, not the laptop. I should say I haven't gotten the computer in yet, so I don't know how great the computer itself is going to be, but the customer service experience has been really excellent so far. They have people like, you place an order, and you have like actual people reaching out to you, confirming things, and after I placed the initial order, someone from their customer service department reached out and asked me what I was going to be using the computer for and making sure it was optimized for cinema. And they have this whole list of things that they do with the machine before they actually ship it. They're going to, install certain software and see if it runs properly on there. They're going to do all of this sort of pre-checking and heat testing. Apparently, they even send you like a heat-sensitive photo of the machine on, and they try to break it basically. So I think by the time I get it, it should be really, really solid. And I guess as someone who's had the sort of faceless, nameless experience of just buying from Apple all my computers in the past, they just send you a box with a computer in it. There's zero customer service. Unless, of course, you go into the store. I've never done that. I've always wound up ordering it online. But even ordering online through Puget Systems was really, really cool. And they have they have machines, sort of two levels of machines that are, built and designed specifically for Cinema 4D. And then, you can select those presets and then go in and customize certain things like size of the hard drive. Do you want to add a monitor? All that good stuff. So I also bought a new monitor too, so that's going to be really exciting. I'm going to have a lot more room to work, which will be nice. So there's my plug. There's the preemptive plug. Let's see when I get the actual machine in and start working with it, how it works out. Yeah, that Genius Bar experience. I'm certainly missing out on that. Genius Bar TM. What a presumptuous name. A Genius Bar. You guys aren't geniuses. Maybe some of them are. That's not fair. But it comes off as really cocky and kind of gross. So now that we've done all our pre-passing, this is moving along fairly quickly, actually. And there's a couple little things I'll wind up retouching. I don't love that reflection, honestly. It's okay. It's something I might continue tweaking if this were to be a finished piece. A final client animation, illustration rather. This guy in the lower left, this bunny looking thing, for some reason he looks kind of familiar. Now when I made this, I didn't have the intention of referencing some other character in the past, but for some reason he looks kind of familiar. Rabbit. Is that like a rabbit from a particular video game or something like that? Titus is from Hungary, and he's saying that they know nothing about the machines but have big faces. Got it. Yep, I was just reading your comment. Yeah, they do look like that. It's funny. Yeah, these guys. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Kind of the shape of the ears does it for you. How's that working for you? ACS, huh? To be honest, I'm not really sure what that means. It's funny, for someone who uses computers to make a living, especially someone who uses 3D software to make a living, I actually don't know that much about computers. It's kind of why I've been an Apple guy in the past. I just kind of want to buy the computer and have it work. I don't really feel like, installing RAM myself, for example. And that's why, I was doing some research and talking to different 3D artists and folks who know more about machines than I do. They're like, oh, you should build your own. You should build your own. And while I love that idea, and while I'm sure I could save a little bit of money doing that, I just don't have the time or appetite to really learn to do that. Which was kind of what's cool about the Puget System machine, is that I know I could get something that was designed to run for cinema, and that I could fine tune some of the options just in terms of like budget. So I took like their base Cinema 4D machine and added just a couple little things until I was comfortable with the amount I was going to spend. And then they put it together for me. They have a warranty, which is really important for someone who does client work. Like if I were to build my own machine, then it took, shat the bed on me in the middle of a project, and I had a deadline that I needed to deliver, I'd just be in big trouble. So it's huge to have customer support, people who actually put the machine together and know what the hell they're doing. And then, a warranty if the thing just dies in a year or two. Well, let's see how long the warranty is. Certainly within the first year. So there you have it. All right. Done rendering. Let's save this guy out. Do some quick color correction and ready to call it an episode. Thanks for bearing with me as that rendering chugged along. I'm surprised there's so many people in the chat right now. Typically, folks just drop off as that rendering happens. So thanks for sticking with me. All right, looking good. All right. What do you guys think? I think I'm ready to call it a day on this one. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you found this useful, please share with a pal. Hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to drop one in the comments below. If you want to keep up with me and the work that I'm doing, hit me up at DLGNCE on Instagram and all the other social medias. The website is diligence.studio. And until next Tuesday, this is Stuart saying goodbye. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Later.